Hey there, spooky friends, and welcome to another episode of Storytime with the Scariest Podcast.
Woo!
I'm Robin Grace. This is Adam Diaz.
Hello.
And we're here to tell you folks a couple more homegrown horrors that have been shared with us by our spooky community. Adam, why don't you tell us what homegrown horrors are?
Robin kind of alluded to it, but homegrown horrors are the stories that have been shared with us by you, the listener, or viewer, depending on if you watch us, because we do record Storytime and Pasta Time, for that matter, live at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Time at youtube.com/scarish and twitch.tv/scarish podcast. A homegrown horror specifically is a story that you share with us, and it can be yours, a friend, a family member's, but it's supposed to be something that's actually happened to you or them, and it can be something that's supernatural, paranormal, spiritual, coincidental, extraterrestrial, or true crime in nature. It is not limited to those things, but it's just a story that you have chosen to share with us. And if someone had a story like that, Robin, where can they send it?
You can send it to our email, which is storytime@scarish.com, or you can go to our website. There's a contact us page. You fill out all those little details there, and it gets emailed to us that way.
Indeed. So however works best for you, we would love to hear from you, and we would love it if you put in the story, okay to share on the pod. That way we know that it's not just directly for us. Either way, thank you so much to the 4 people who have reached out to us for this particular episode, because we're going to be sharing 4 homegrown horrors. So Robin, would you like to go first, or would you like me to go first?
I want you to go ahead and go first.
All right. So we have 2 emails that were sent in by what I believe is the same person, someone named Melanie. I think the one I'm about to read comes before the one Robin will read later, eventually during this episode. But shout out to Melanie. Thank you for sending us your homegrown horrors. And this first one starts out like this. Good morning, all. Good morning. Love your podcast. And I literally listen every day. I'm not sure if my other stories went through, but I wanted to share a few more. Okay, so this is the second. So I don't know if there's anything that's like from the first set of stories that they sent in, but we'll pretend like we've already heard it. As I mentioned in my previous email, I am a tarot reader as well as a Reiki master. I don't know if I said that correctly. So I feel like energetically, these types of experiences kind of come with the territory. This next story takes place in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So story number 1. A little under a year after we moved into our house in College Station, my husband was offered an amazing opportunity in Pittsburgh, so we relocated from Texas to Pennsylvania. Once in Pittsburgh, we knew that we didn't want to live in an apartment for an extended time, so we began our house search. For those unfamiliar with Pittsburgh real estate, which I'm going to guess is most of us, the average age of homes across the area are between 50 to 70 years old, unless you're able to find one of the rare new builds. Buying an older house, at least for me, seemed like a great adventure because after living in Lawrence, Kansas, I always, when I was in college, wanted to live in a Victorian home. After a couple of days of our search, we found what we thought was the perfect house for us. It was a beautiful, multicolored Victorian home with crown molding, original hardwood floors, a fully fenced backyard, and even a garage, which is unheard of for the area. Parts of the house had even been remodeled in recent years, so it was definitely more modern on the inside than most of the homes we had been looking at, and needless to say, I could not wait to see it. As fate would have it, there was an open house, and we jumped at the opportunity to check it out. As we walked into the house, marveling at the beautiful entryway, the realtor introduced herself and asked if we had any specific questions about the house. I asked if there was anything in particular that she wanted us to know or to share, and she declined, so we began our self-tour. As we walked up the stairs, I could feel that the air suddenly became thicker, and I started to feel uneasy, but chalked it up to it being a summer day, and most Victorians don't have great air circulation unless they've been retrofitted. I gotta say, thick air, like, that's a bad sign to start out. I'm not sure what it denotes aside from humidity upstairs, but when the air gets thick, I don't know if there's a saying that starts out when the air gets thick, but it's not a good sign.
I can only think of things that are definitely not appropriate.
I feel like that's just like the theme of our show, though. When the air gets thick, something, dick. It's probably how it should go, but
what?
I'm too tired to think of a phrase right now. Anyways, let's keep going. Until we walked into one of the beds, I feel like we're going to get a bunch of messages on social media of like what we could have finished that sentence with, but whatever. Until we walked into one of the bedrooms, I literally saw the paint peeling off the wall strip by strip from the ceiling. I also noticed that stains on the ceiling started to expand and contract right before our eyes. My husband had not seen any of this, but he could tell that I was starting to get uncomfortable. We moved into the next bedroom, and I started to feel very claustrophobic, so we decided to go back downstairs and look up the rest of the first floor. So I'm guessing this is just something that they're seeing, their husband's not seeing at all, which is kind of terrifying. The bottom floor was not nearly as oppressive, but something definitely felt more and more off as we got closer to the basement door. I can't explain it, but something told me that I needed to go into the basement. Bad things usually happen when I ignore my intuition, so I listened.
Anytime I hear, going to the basement, I'm reminded of that episode that you did of your dad's old house, where you whispered, come to the basement, and that idea just freaks me out. I hate it. It's scary.
Yeah, indeed. As I descended the steps, I saw in perfect clarity a grandmother figure sitting in a rocking chair. She looked me dead in the eyes and said pointedly, "Get out of my house and tell my family I don't want them selling my house." Needless to say, I got out of there like a bat out of hell.
That's horrifying.
Yeah, that's absolutely horrifying. Honoring the grandmother's wishes, I told can you imagine if someone wanted to buy the house and they're with their mom looking at the house, Mom, go downstairs and sit in that rocking chair, and anyone who comes down here, pretend like you're a ghost and tell them to get the fuck out so we can get this house.
Oh my God.
I would do something like that. All right, honoring the grandmother's wishes, I told the realtor exactly what had happened. She was noticeably shaken and confessed that the grandmother did die in the house and the family was selling the house against her wishes. Outside of the house, I told the grandmother that I did what she asked and hoped that she could hopefully move on and find peace in the future, but we would absolutely do as she asked.
That's horrifying. Super scary.
Yeah.
I can't
But
even.
I mean, I wish they would have told us the square footage and the price, because even with an angry ghost, a steal is a steal. That's all I'm saying. All right, we're going to move on to this next story. Story number 2. Don't worry, y'all. This one is a bit shorter. That's what it says. About 3 months after visiting Grandma's house, we found a fantastic home on the north side and lived there for 6 years until we moved back to Texas. Well, living in our neighborhood, we became friendly with our neighbor who happened to be our veterinarian. I always have a hard time saying that word. I don't know why. For the purpose of the story, we will call him Jonathan. We moved from Texas with our then 5-year-old dog, Manny, and upon moving into our house, Manny managed to pick up some ticks in our backyard. Unsure of what to do, we asked our neighbors across the street, who also had dogs, if they could recommend an emergency vet nearby. They recommended that we go 2 doors down and see if our neighbor, Jonathan, the veterinarian, was home. We rushed down the street and knocked on the door, and thankfully he was home and graciously offered to take a look at Manny.
That's really nice. It's you're off the clock.
Yeah, it's come back at a different time, but this guy takes his job seriously. He probably loves animals. I think most vets do. From that point on, he was Manny's vet and friend, and we would not let anyone else see Manny in his practice. Jonathan took care of him for several years and personally ensured that he had everything that he needed when he had to have a few teeth extracted, including personally dropping off wet dog food so that Manny wouldn't go hungry and could avoid being in pain while eating. Aw. One night, I woke up startled because I heard someone walking up the stairs, and they were heading towards our bedroom.
Pass.
Yeah, fuck that. That's home invasion shit right there. It didn't feel menacing. I was just wondering who in the hell was in our house. Within moments, I saw a figure look into our bedroom in Manny's direction.
I mean, whenever I'm breaking in and walking around someone's house, I don't think I come off as menacing.
Yeah, I always check on the dog first, too.
Yeah,
you know?
I always peek in just to make sure everyone's okay.
Manny got up and returned the look, wagged his tail fervently, and then laid back down and went to sleep. By the time I really understood what was going on, the figure evaporated into thin air. I'm sure of exactly what had just happened. I went back to sleep. I don't know if I'd be able to sleep after that. Even if it wasn't, menacing, it's still terrifying.
Yeah, I would at least want to go out and check, is there actually someone, and walk around the house, and I don't think I could just go back to sleep.
Yeah, you might be like, oh, this person's not going to hurt me, and then wake up and all your shit's gone.
Even when when I hear a noise in the house, I always send you and the dog, hey,
I was going to say, you do not go check.
And I don't go straight to sleep. I'm just y'all need to check it before we can sleep again.
Yeah, me and the Corgi / German Shepherd go and check, and then Robin and our Shiba Inu stay in the bedroom.
Adam's not saying he takes the Corgi or the German Shepherd. It's just
they're one and the same. It's a Corgi German Shepherd mix, so if she barks, it'll be loud at least. All right. The next morning, I ran into our neighbors, and they asked if we heard the news. It was always something happening in our part of town, so it wasn't out of the ordinary, but I asked them to clarify. Apparently, sometime that morning, Jonathan's friend had found him dead in his house. Unbeknownst to us and the rest of our neighbors, he had been sick for quite a long time and had succumbed to his illness.
Oh my God.
Putting all the pieces together, I realized that he was making his last rounds to check on his patients before moving on. Jonathan was truly one of a kind, and I hope that he has found peace and is no longer in pain.
That's so really sad. That's really sad.
Yeah. Thank you all again for letting me indulge you with my experiences. Ironically, I have several more stories, so let me know if you want to hear some more. Happy haunting, Melanie.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Definitely heartwarming / sad. That last story there. Man, that's so sad.
Yeah. I will say thank you for sending those in. It's quite amazing the things that you've experienced, and we definitely want to hear about your other experiences as well. I'm really excited that we have more of your stories to read on the show, and the fact that you have more of them is super exciting. I apologize that we're reading the emails out of order, but hey, that happens sometimes. You know, this is like episode 4. Robin will read the prequels, so hopefully those go well, better than the prequels for Star Wars did, but fingers crossed. We'll see what happens coming up in the show a little bit later.
All right, so my first story that I'm going to read is from Melanie, and it actually also contains 2 stories, apparently. The subject says 2 homegrown horrors.
Oh, we're doing both Melanie stories. Nice. I like this.
All right, so it goes, Hi, hello.
Hello.
Here are 2 stories that I hope y'all, or you will, sorry, I just automatically for some reason changed it to y'all, will like. I wanted to share with you all today a story about my haunted apartment in College Station, Texas. Close to 10 years ago, my now husband, then fiance, and I moved into a 2-bedroom apartment from my previous 1-bedroom apartment in the same apartment complex. To quickly set the tone, this apartment complex was not exactly in the best part of town, and the side of the building that we were moved to was definitely in disrepair. When we moved into the apartment, I always felt like something was off, but we hadn't planned to stay there long, as we were going to hopefully buy our first house together soon. Our apartment was also directly across the hallway from one of the new on-site managers who moved in shortly after we did, and she always gave me a bad vibe, which, not surprisingly, reverberated off of her apartment. Her son, who was probably around 8 or 9, was insanely creepy. In fact, several times my husband would catch him trying to look into our bedroom window. That is like the definition of creepy. Like, I know we say keep on creeping on, but don't be peeking into people's bedrooms.
Yeah, that's
y'all.
too much creeping on right there. Like, bring it back. Dial it down a skosh.
About a month after she moved in, I started feeling a heaviness to our apartment, especially in the hallway that led to our bathroom and bedroom. My feelings were confirmed when I woke up one night around 3 in the morning. It's at 3 in the morning. Of course, you're going to see something horrible. I saw a large, dark shadow figure staring at us from the doorway of our bedroom. I was paralyzed and could not move in fear, and the room felt like the temperature had plummeted. I woke up my husband, and by the time he woke up, the shadow was gone. This visit repeated nightly. Oh my God. I don't think I'd be like, we're moving. I can't do this every night.
I try and set up a camera or some sort of equipment too to see if I could capture like any of the phenomenon that it keeps repeating.
Oh yeah, maybe. Every night I woke up trying to figure out who this figure was and what they wanted. My husband started to see it too, and I was frantically contacting my own metaphysical community to see what could be done. Until one night. When the shadow visited the next time, there was another shadow there with them. At this point, I was ready to pack our shit up and get the fuck out. But then, this other figure managed to send it away. The shape started to shift so that I could start to see facial features and clothing, and this amazing warmth started emanating from him. I thanked him, and then he disappeared. Okay, so this dark, scarier shadow figure comes every night for a while, and then they contact their community to figure out, like, okay, what's going on here? And then this new shadow person shows up and scares away or, like, sends the evil, bad energy off to some other place. Guardian Angel, perhaps.
Told him to get the fuck out. Like, maybe not some other place specifically, just like any other place. Like, you gotta go, bro. Like, Shadow Bouncer, GTFO.
A Shadow Bouncer. Oh, man. Did you ever play that game on PlayStation?
Shadow Bouncer?
No. I think it was called The Bouncer. And the character from The Bouncer is like Sora from Kingdom Hearts before Kingdom Hearts.
No.
They look exactly the same.
I certainly never played that game. It's not ringing any bells. I'm pretty sure you just made it up, just like Zaboomafoo.
Nah, yeah. Yeah, you should look up videos of The Bouncer. I played that game through probably like 20 times. Anyway, just to make sure that whatever it was gone, I did some cleansing of our apartment and things calmed down a bit. My husband asked if I knew who the man was who would occasionally come back and check on us, and without a doubt, something in me said, your grandfather. Note that I have never actually met his grandfather, and he actually passed away before my husband was even born. To confirm who it was that I saw, he showed me a picture of his grandfather. We went to his parents' house, one which I had never seen, and there he was, wearing the exact same outfit that I saw him in. Then we're going to go over to the next story here. So the next one is also from College Station. We moved from that apartment to our first home together. So they bought a house. Boop, boop. And previous owners were relocated.
Previous owners were Brie Larson? What? That's crazy. She's
I
Captain
fucking
Marvel.
wish. Anyway. The previous owners were relocating out of state and left their teenage son behind to stay with his grandparents. When we moved into the house, the energy was great, and I, of course, broke out the sage before we moved in, just to make sure. After living in the house for about 4 months, our back bedroom, which we used predominantly for storage, started to feel really off. Every time either one of us would go in there, the air felt very heavy, and we both had difficulty breathing, but were completely fine once we left the room. Based on our limited interactions with the family, we knew that their son was not happy about being left behind and seemed pretty angry, so I figured that it was just residual energy from his emotions about having to stay behind. Within hours of us noticing these changes, we heard a knock on our door, and it was the police department asking to speak to the former owners. When we explained that we had just moved in, they shared the news that they were looking for them because their son had experienced a tragic accident and passed away.
Wow.
Upon hearing this news, I almost passed out from shock and sadness for him and their family and knew immediately what was happening with our house. That back bedroom was where he spent a large portion of his life, and he decided to come back to visit after he died. Knowing that he was still in the house and might not even know what happened to him, I wanted to be as cautious and supportive as possible, so I went into the room and spoke to him and explained what happened from the information that we knew. I told him how sorry I was that things had been so difficult for him and wished him peace as he transitioned into the afterlife. I also reinforced with him that I know how much he wanted to stay in the home, but his family had moved on, and it would be best for him to do so as well. Within hours, the room became lighter and brighter, and I knew that he moved on. We unfortunately never got to reconnect with his family as we didn't have their contact information, but we think of them often, and needless to say, I sent them a lot of love, light, and compassion that day. These are just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to my experiences, so if you like these and would like some more, I'm always happy to share. Thanks, Melanie. Thank you, Melanie, for sharing that with us. I think that kind of stuff happens a lot, where one day, like, your house is fine. One day you get these like weird vibes, right? Strange energy, and it's because something has happened somewhere to someone. And you're kind of just caught in the crossfire of that transition. But I totally believe something like that would happen with his coming back.
Yeah, I appreciate you sending these in, Melanie. I'm also very appreciative, Robin, of the fact that when she said these are just the tip of the iceberg, you didn't make a just the tip joke, because I feel like the word tip very rarely gets past you. And it shows how good these stories were. But yeah, like Robin said, there's this feeling that some people get that they know something traumatic or something tragic has happened, and to have like these sort of confirmations pop up, it's very, very sad. But overall, like, I'm happy you shared the story with us too, so that people don't feel weirded out or feel like isolated or alone if something like this were to happen to them. And, they feel like it's more of a safe place to share that shit like that does happen to people, like regardless of what you believe in or what your personal like religious beliefs are. We get stories like this from lots of people all over the world, all different backgrounds, like all different religions. So it's something to, it's episode 190 for Storytime. We're still reinforcing that this happens a lot to a lot of folks. So thank you so much for sending that in. And we definitely want to hear more of your stories. So give us more than just the tip.
Yeah. Damn it. Give us more than just the tip. Fuck, you stupid idiot.
I could have just said deeper, but I figured I'd be less gross.
What? That doesn't even make sense. So
anyways, thank you so much one last time. So before we move into our next story, we are going to take a really quick commercial break. And we're back. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and move on to my next story of the show. And this one's subject is Homegrown, a somewhat wholesome one. And it's from Aiden. I will say this one's slightly short. So it starts out like this. Hi.
Hello.
Hello. I'm Aiden. Sorry if I have bad grammar or spelling. I'm typing this on my phone and English isn't my strongest suit anyway. Let's begin. My sibling is a strong believer in the paranormal, while I'm skeptical about it and still am. My sibling says they have a ghost in their room, which I thought was bullshit until one recent night. We were having a rant about something in their room when they said their ghost friend said hi. Jokingly, I said hi.
I don't know how I feel about this. Where's this going?
Jokingly, I said hi, and I regret it. They told me to go over to them, and they showed me their phone with the filter on it, because if you turn a filter on your phone and point it somewhere, if it still shows up, even when nothing's there, there's supposed to be a ghost, and it appeared. I think this is referencing like Snapchat, where it's like supposed to put like something on your face, and then if something shows up on that face, it's like something's actually there. They then asked the ghost to move their hand, and it fucking did. I was, and still am, freaked out. But I'm working on rationalizing it. It's not that I don't believe in ghosts, it's that I don't want to, because if something good is true, it means something bad is true also. Anyway, you're welcome to share it on the podcast if you want. I am not on any of the socials because I don't use any social media sites outside of YouTube and Spotify. Well, goodbye for now. Love you. Love you too.
Thank you so much. That's very short.
Yeah, it's a short one, but either way, like, it's a creepy thing that happened to someone. Like, I've seen a lot of those videos on like TikTok or Snapchat or whatever, where someone's taking a filter and then all of a sudden it like puts a face on something that's not there. And I'd be super fucking creeped out too. I'm not sure how like waving the hands worked. Like, I'm not sure if there's a filter that like shows your hands where you would have been able to see it, or if there's like, some sort of motion blur or something like that. But
I don't know about that either. I mean, the thing with filters though is it's anything that
looks like a face. Yeah,
looks like a face. So it could just be like the objects in the frame happen to come together to look like a face. If it was like nothing behind you, nothing at all, and there was something there, I would freak out. Like if it was a white wall behind you, or
darkness,
a dark hallway, I would freak out for sure.
It would be super creepy if it was like one of those multi-face features, and you were in a dark hallway and you like held it up, and there was like 6 or 7 faces behind you.
Oh
and
yeah,
they all rushed towards you. There you go. That's my movie. That's a
yeah,
scene
but those
for
filters only allow for like 2 people. So
yeah, I know. Anyways, thank you so much for sending that in, Aiden. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. So the final story of this evening is from Amber. And the subject is prophetic dreams. Prophetic, not to be confused with pathetic.
That'd be
I know
really
they sound very similar coming out of my mouth right now. All right, so it says, hello, spooky friends.
Hello. And all the spooky friends, wherever you're at, you have to yell hello right meow.
I've been planning to send this for a while, but life's been busy with work and college stuff, but better late than never. Anyway, I've always had wild, vivid dreams, as I've mentioned in my Sweet Dreams Are Made of These story from a while back about my nightmares. Recently, I've been finding a strange pattern in my dreams. They've been predicting the future. There are 3 instances of this that I can currently think of. The first happened in December. If you watched the news around then, you probably heard of the huge tornado that hit Kentucky. Well, the night before that incident, I had a dream of multiple tornadoes all ripping up the town around me. I have tornado dreams frequently, but it didn't quite faze me when it first happened. When I heard about what happened in Kentucky, I remembered the dream I had and freaked out a bit. Not long after that tornado hit the news, a tornado hit my own town. If you're in the Discord, you may have seen me having a mini panic attack in one of the chats, but we're all good now. No severe damage was done, besides some torn up trees, Midwest things, you know. The second happened far more recently and is fairly wholesome. One night, I had a dream where I was at school, heading down the hallway. My old choir teacher, who left last year and is an amazing person, suddenly walked through the doors. I got really excited and greeted him, asking why he was there. Not long after that, I woke up. A couple days ago, from when I sent this, was my state music competition. I was very nervous as I entered the room I was going to be performing in. As I walked in, I looked around and there was my old choir teacher. I was so surprised when I first saw him, but so excited. He wasn't able to stay for my performance, but I got to meet up with him again and chat. Side note, I was 1 point away from getting a perfect score on my singing piece.
Dang.
I know, I'm just so awesome. This third one is a bit darker and includes a shooting that took place.
Jesus.
Ooh, with the one that just happened, it's like, that's nuts. So I left it for last, so people would skip if it need be. I'll also keep it a bit shorter than the others. One night, I had the most vivid dream of being at school, and I can still identify the exact classroom I was in. It was me and one other teacher in the room. All of a sudden, an announcement came over the speakers warning of a shooter in the school. I woke up, escaping through the window and running to safety, and waking up. The next day, in class, we were watching the news, and I was frightened to see that a school shooting had just taken place. With that, I would say it happens too often for it to be a prophecy. I think everything else could be like prophetic, but having just had another one happen recently, I'm like, it happens too often.
I will say, like, a lot of these things too seem like, you know, if you're having a tornado that hits, typically it's because like it's been really stormy, you know? So like having a dream about a tornado hitting at a time where it's been like stormy is something that's, you know, pretty straightforward. I think that's something that would like hit a lot of people's dreams. And knowing you're going to a singing competition and dreaming about seeing someone who's like, you know, been a teacher for you, like that also makes sense. The school shooting thing, or the shooting just in general, is like, it's just unnerving because it's such a horrible thing to have happen. But like Robin says, like it happens so frequently in America, unfortunately. It's like, if you had a dream about it at any given point, it could line up with any sort of mass shooting that happens here because it happens so fucking often.
And a lot of them, they don't even put in the news anymore.
Right.
As like big, mainstream news. It's usually local. So I'm just like, it's both sad, you know, it's just really sad. And at the same time thinking like maybe it is prophetic. Maybe it was something that at the time didn't happen very often and just was something just out of the blue, you know? The email continues on. Those are all of my wild and scary dreams for now. I'm sure I'll have more soon. Until next time, stay safe, stay spooky, and keep on creeping on.
Yeah, like, you know, we just said, dreams definitely have this sort of impact on us, especially when there's like vivid specific details of like how something unfolds or like a scene and how it plays out, and then that happens to you again. We get a lot of emails about prophetic dreams, so it's something that's super interesting and also kind of creepy. So thank you so much for sending that, and we definitely want to hear more. So if anyone out there has a prophetic dream email, please make sure you reach out to us and let us know. And then if you tell us we can read it on the show, we'd be glad to share it. All right, that's everything we have for this episode of Storytime. I want to thank everyone who wrote to us and everyone who watched us live. We sincerely appreciate all the support we get for this show. It's amazing. And if you have a story you would like to send us, we would love to hear it. So please email storytime@scarish.com or go to our website, scarish.com, and click on Contact Us. Fill out that form. It does come directly to us, or hit us up on our social medias. Twitter is @ScarishPod, Instagram is @ScarishPodcast, and Facebook is facebook.com/ScarishPodcast. Robin, for folks who would like to donate to us, how can they do so?
You can go to patreon.com/ScarishPodcast. Those are monthly donations. Tiers start at $1. We also just revealed new art print that's going to be in a future season for Badge of Honor patrons and above rewards. So we're really thankful for everybody who does support us, whether it's on Patreon or a coffee, ko-fi.com/scarishpodcast, where it's one-time donations if you're not into the whole monthly donation type thing. Because you guys allow us to keep making content, which is really amazing, where we couldn't be here without you. So,
yeah, absolutely. So thank you one more time. We appreciate literally all of you. And thank you for sending those stories in. This is everything for Storytime number 190. So, Robin, go ahead and sign us out.
Please send us your stories.
Indeed.
Keep on creeping on, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.